Hello everyone, my name is Max. I'm actually very nervous here, so I hope that you forgive me if I read from my notes, because you know, doggies, we don't have as good memory as humans. We prefer to live in the here and now, actually. And it's really nerve-wracking for me to be here, because like my daddy, I'm actually a very intensely private person. Even though I live a very public life, his work was very public, but he was a very intensely private person. He was a soul of discretion. So I better be careful here too, because if I say too much, he might not be happy, and then he will scold me. So anyway, as I said, my name is Max. Okay, actually it's Maximilian. But Auntie Siew Hoon told my daddy Ken that it was too big a name for a small dog. So imagine someone looking like me, you know, and then being called Maximilian. And I always knew that I was in trouble when Daddy said, Maximilian? I much prefer Max, or as Auntie Siew Hoon sometimes calls me, Maxi. It means lots of Maxi cuddles coming my way. For those of you who don't know your dogs from your cats, I'm a King Charles Cavalier, a spaniel that's bred for royalty. So I'm really used to the good life and being royally spoiled. So I guess I ended up with the right owner. The Doggypedia says that my breed is highly affectionate, naturally curious, playful, extremely patient, and eager to please. They say that masters reflect their dog's personality, so I think my daddy is very like me. Some people think he's not very patient though, especially the people who work with him, but he always was with me. I'm also able to adapt quickly to almost any environment, and I'm getting used to my new home with Auntie Siew Hoon and her doggy Dylan. Dylan is very handsome, you know, but he's a bit of a poser. But I think I'm cuter. And I like it there because I have many four-legged friends. I've got a pug named Coco. She's such a girl. And then there's a cat named Thomas, whom I'm getting used to. Cats aren't as bad as we dogs make them out to be. One thing I'm not, though, is streetwise. I often get in my head that I must run off chasing cars or something. So it's not very safe for me to be out there alone. And in that respect, I think I am like my daddy. Because I think my daddy was too fragile and sensitive for this world. You see, he's a dreamer and an artist. He loves to dream big. And he's happiest when he's writing music. And I always knew he had a good day when he came home and he started playing his music and singing and composing. And bad days when he had to plow through heaps of documents, preparing for meetings after meetings and reports to committees after committees. Don't get me wrong though, he loved his job. You know, he believed in the higher purpose of his job, that he was promoting the idea of Singapore, that it could be a place for people to find themselves and to be whoever they wanted to be. And he certainly found himself in Singapore and wanted to share that with everyone. My daddy loved creating campaigns and executing to the tiniest detail. He was such a perfectionist that I think he drove a lot of people nuts as well. But most of all, I think he liked the big budgets he got with the Singapore Tourism Board. So he got to produce his big productions. And he's always told me, finally Max, I can get the best sound system. He also told me, like, in his job, it's like he's producing this play about Singapore. He's telling his story and writing his music. And Singapore was his stage. The world, his audience. And the team at work, his crew. Let me tell you about the day he came into my life. I was resigned to spending the rest of my days as a house dog in a pet store. I think the name of the pet store was Suki Kennel or something like that. And nobody wanted me when I was a puppy, and now that I was 3, I was too old for anyone to ever want me. Then one day, this good-looking, handsome, gorgeous man walks into the shop. and I glanced up at him with hope, as I do every time someone walks in. But I knew I couldn't compete with all those adorable little, yippy little things. Let him go. And so I continued sleeping in my little corner. And then I heard him ask, "Do you have an older dog?" "I don't want puppies, too hard to train." And they said no. And then he saw me, and then he asked, "How about that one? Can I see him?" And the shop owner said, "That's our house dog, he's too old, nobody wants him." But he walked towards me, and I got up, and I wagged my tail, and I gave him my best take me look. And it must have worked, because he walked out of the shop with a dog that nobody wanted. I like that about my daddy. He did things differently. He accepted people who were different. And most of all, he championed underdogs. I'm glad he changed his mind about not taking another dog after his previous one, Jazz, died. He told Auntie Siew Hoon it was too painful, and he wasn't going to get another. But a few months later, he changed his mind. In that, we are alike too. We both believe that to live life fully, you have to do it fearlessly. You put everything into it, and you take everything that comes with it. And that means joy, sorrow, pleasure, pain, love, loss. And so the last 5 years have been the best years of my life. We've been each other's best friend. I didn't like it when he traveled, which was a lot for his job, but I knew he had to do it. And later, I didn't mind it that much when he started putting me with Auntie Siew Hoon. And he called Auntie Siew Hoon's place Max's Resort and Spa. Because he knew I was well looked after. Because I'm fed, I'm walked, I'm played with, and I'm generally adored by all the women who come to the household. What man wouldn't want all that attention? The day he dropped me off at Auntie Siew Hoon, and that was, I still remember the date, it was June 4th, and it was the morning after they had both gone to the citizen swearing-in ceremony. He told me he was going to go to the hospital to get well. And he said, "Don't worry, Max. Siew Hoon will look after you till I get better. And then I'll come and get you. And we will spend as much time as possible. Because I am going to need a lot of time to get better. And I'm going to take all the time in the world to get better." I knew he hadn't been feeling well the last few weeks or months, and I had been giving him lots of licks and love. And he must have noticed, because he told Auntie Siew Hoon, "You know, Max has been wanting more of my love and attention the last few weeks. We dogs sense more than most humans think." Last Wednesday night, actually it was early Thursday morning, about 2 a.m. when Auntie Siew Hoon came home, and she sat on the bedroom floor crying. I knew something bad had happened, and so I put my head on her lap, and we both just sat there, comforting each other. Every day that goes by, I know I won't be seeing my daddy again physically, but I hold him in my heart. I will remember him as someone who would discipline me one moment, and then the next, kissing and cuddling me, and giving me treats. He was like that with people too. He was harsh and demanding, but he felt so bad after that he would kiss and cuddle you and give you treats. I will remember him as someone who loved to dream and make music, and I'll also remember him as a man of quiet conviction. When he believed in something, he believed in it fully, and he carried it within him quietly. I found it very calming to be in his presence, and that I will miss. Auntie Siew Hoon told me a story of how once, many years ago, they were in Vientiane together at a travel conference, and